Hello, y'all. I am from Texas, so I can say y'all. I was born in Dallas. Welcome to My Left Ear. My Left Ear is a left-leaning political and psychic YouTube channel where I do commentary and I do runes on specific questions, what's coming up. This is video 170, and I am Carrie Freeman, the writer, producer, director of My Left Ear. So it's Thursday, August 17th. If I didn't say it, I apologize if I'm repeating myself. I did a lot of runes this morning, and every once in a while the energy is weird with the runes, and today was one of those days. So I kind of did the best I could. I really had to plug in. And for those of you who are new, this is called My Left Ear because I often get information, psychic information from this side. There's a voice that talks to me and tells me things like, no, don't do that, or turn right here, or this is going to be happening. And this is for entertainment purposes only. When I'm not doing a Patreon or a YouTube video like today, I'm an author and I do private sessions with people. I do psychic coaching, which is really helpful and unique. And I do clinical hypnotherapy, where I help people make changes. Sometimes the hypnotherapy and the psychic coaching intertwine, because if I'm working with the hypnotherapy client, I will get hits. I will know things, and that enters into it. And if you want a cheat sheet, just look below for my email, carriesleftear@gmail.com, and ask me, and I'll email you a cheat sheet with my prices and what I do. This is for entertainment purposes only. Okay, here we go. I was really struck by this name of a district in Georgia called Coffee County. And I went, what a great name for a place. It's not connected to Fulton County, but in a way it is connected to Fulton County, but legally it's not connected. So it's not under Fani Willis's auspices, but a lot happened there. In Coffee County, Trump's team traveled there because one errant Republican gave them access to voting machines there. Now, while I don't know all the details yet, or we all don't know all the details yet, Sidney Powell, the famous Kraken lady, hired a firm to scan all the equipment, all the files, ballots, and information. So she's in deep doo-doo. Now that I set that up, I want to quote Joyce Vance, the brilliant professor and attorney from Alabama, but she's on MSNBC. So she's talking about Georgia. And she says, or she wrote, there's a mountain of evidence. Fani is district attorney, but has no jurisdiction in Coffee County, like I told you. But here's the kicker. When she puts together a RICO charge, which includes a wide net, okay, in Georgia especially, it pulls in Coffee County. So that's very good. It includes it. For RICO, because it's different, I think, from state to state, the sentences are longer here and maybe shorter in other states, okay? One of the reasons that people might want to move their testimony. And I think we all know by now that RICO statutes are very complicated and it can be a very long process. But according to Joyce Vance, those involved, that have been identified, indicted, part of the list of people, they're going to have to decide whether to talk or not. And they're going to have to decide pretty quickly what they're going to do. Time is not on their side. And as we all pretty much know by now, Mark Meadows, chief of staff, was instrumental in setting up the Rathenberger call, the famous, can you find me 11,000 plus votes, as well as others. So I did a runes, and this one, I got one rune, and I feel like I got the answer. So I asked, will Mark Meadows get to move his Georgia trial to DC, which Trump is asking, and probably all of them are going to ask, but Mark was the first one. My left ear is intuiting, no, he's not going to get to move to DC. If he did, and if this is, not correct, he still gets processed and prosecuted by Fani Willis and her team. It doesn't turn into Washington, D.C. It's just federal, not state. And the advantage to anybody is federal probably won't have televisions at the trial. And what was the other thing with the federal and the state? Darn. I will remember, and I can't remember right this minute. So anyway, oh, I know what it was, and it's big. Nobody can pardon someone who's found guilty in the state of Georgia. Not the governor, not anybody. There's a lot, very, very strict rules. So, they're really locked in there. They won't get a pardon. Trump isn't going to become president. He's got a fantasy that he's going to pardon himself and he's going to pardon all these people. But in Georgia, no way. He simply will not be able to do it. So Georgia's really serious. All right. So I said, will Mark Meadows get to move his Georgia trial to DC? And I got the rune of initiation and I stopped because I got it in reverse. Kind of like there's no initiation. So it says there's a counsel here against expecting too much. That's what telling him. The old way has come to an end, and that was one of privilege. And this rune represents obstacles that we create for ourselves, that Mark Meadows created for himself, which he did. It advises work with your shadow side that attracts these hardships. It's always interesting to me when this wonderful book of runes has advice. There's always advice. But the people that I'm talking about are not capable of taking advice. But I share it with you anyway, because it's in the book. So the book says, work with your shadow side that attracts hardships. If you repeat the old, you will suffer. There are reasons, Mark, to consider your plans. I stopped picking runes because I don't think he's going to get to move to DC. That's what my left ear feels from this. So there's just these few advantages if they do, which is pardons become open in federal cases, and there will be nothing televised in the federal case, which it will be very helpful for everybody to watch these trials televised. Everybody. All right. So then I asked, will 45, Donald Trump, get to move his Georgia trial to DC? Because he wants to do that too, because of the pardon thing. Oh my God. I think he's doing all of this, hoping to create a pardon situation. So I got, this was a little confusing, but I'm going to share it with you anyway. I got Berkana, the rune of growth. And so this says, fosters growth in affairs of the world. It is about the flow of beings into their new forms. And what came to mind is flow of beings into their new orange jumpsuits. Honestly, that's what came up for me. It advises disperse resistance. Well, saying that to Donald Trump, because that's all he has is resistance. Cleanse out dark corners, which is similar to look at your shadow side. He's not gonna. He is the dark corner. He can't even cleanse out the dark corner because he's Darth Vader. So then I got the rune of self, which is very introspective. and it says, only clarity and willingness to change are effective now. It is a major time of growth and rectification. And rectification has to come before progress. Now, he's not going to be admitting anything, and he's not capable of rectification. And then I got fertility, which surprised me. This can be a completion of beginnings. So once again, it talks about a new path. You may be required to free yourself from a rut, a habit, or a relationship. And the rut is his chronic lies. I mean, if he's breathing, he's lying about everything. And this starts to get completed because all of that is going to be revealed. And then it talks about movement can involve danger. So the movement to DC from the Georgia area to DC may involve danger for Trump, because this is who I'm talking about. This could happen, move, but like I said, Fani's team will be running it, but it's going to be in DC with some different laws. I don't think they're going to move. I don't think 45 or Mark are going to get their wish. We wait and see. And like I said, these runes were like, I mean, most of the time I'm like really on top of interpreting them. Today was a little odd, so I'm just being very honest with you. Don't know if you heard, Donald Trump accused Fani Willis, I might have mentioned it last week, of having an affair with a gang member, and he did this openly at a recent rally. Now Fani is challenging Trump to prove this accusation by, I think, Monday, and I think it's this coming Monday, not sure, or will face charges for sullying her image as a prosecutor, her work. So she's not having any of this. So if convicted in Georgia, Trump will not be eligible to run for office in 2024. I'm going to repeat that. If convicted in Georgia, Trump will not be eligible to run for office in 24. Keeping the fingers crossed. So now you know Trump violated his protective order by, talking about Judge Chutkan and insulting her and all these inflammatory things. And she had warned him against inflammatory attacks, and he did it. So the attacks and the attack falsely claims that she admitted to trying to interfere in the election to hurt him. And of course, that's a blatant lie. She's famous for being professional and letter of the law kind of person. So he, that's what he did. So as a result, a right-wing extremist is in jail in Texas after issuing vile racist threats to Judge Tanya Chutkan, who is overseeing Trump's Washington, D.C. case, as you know. And it's a woman who's in jail, 43-year-old from Texas, 43-year-old Abigail Jo Shry, S-H-R-Y, of Alvin, Texas, left a threatening voicemail message for Judge Chutkan. And it said, "Hey, you stupid slave N-word. You are in our sights. We want to kill you. If Trump doesn't get elected in 24, we're coming to kill you. So tread lightly, B-I-T-C-H. Pretty darn ugly. And then she also, this babe, also issued an unhinged threats against Rep. Sheila Jackson Lee from Texas, all Democrats, And she included the LGBTQ community. Lovely gal. But this is what Trump whips up. It's going to be interesting to see what the judge does. That's all I'm going to say. So here's something outrageous that started yesterday. Trump announced that he's going to do this big event at Bedminster this coming Monday. And it's going to be this huge reveal that there's new evidence of his complete innocence, and he's claiming exoneration. I mean, it's in print. And I will be exonerated, and I'm going to have all of this information and evidence. And his lawyers, of course, got wind of this, and they're urging him, don't do it, don't do it. And they are telling their client, Donald Trump, it will make everything worse. So I didn't throw runes on this because my left ear really thinks he's going to do it anyway. That's how he's built. Do you know what I mean? He's engineered to not listen to people, to not take advice. Why would he all of a sudden take advice when he thinks he can really, hit a home run in a speech at Bedminster? It's just like him, right? So I just wrote, from my left ear, he will do the presser anyway because he cannot manage or regulate his rage and his entitlement. It will be like years ago when he announced, I'm not doing any Trump organization business anymore. I'm leaving that to the kids. And he showed up with like 50 empty folders that he wanted people to believe had all to do with his holdings and his business. It was very embarrassing, but he did it. So this is like, his attorneys, who are not cream of the crop, when they tell him, you really shouldn't do that, sir, it's like telling a 10-year-old boy with ADHD that he can't do something, and he will do it. This is where I'm coming from, okay? Now, jurors in Georgia, I think in Georgia specifically, are being harassed at their homes because people on the right, don't ask me how they got a hold of it. Maybe you know, but the right people exposed all their addresses and phone numbers. These poor, innocent people trying to do, what the government has asked them to do, and we're not protecting them. I have heard that there's going to be a search for people that are using these addresses and phone numbers. So, we'll see. And we just want to say to please keep everybody safe. This is really ugly. Now I'm going to get to DUHsantis. DUHsantis. He's now saying that he's moved on from wanting to sue Disney and the legal battle. He's moved on. Oh, isn't that convenient, Ron, that you've moved on? But you started the fire. Like the song, Disney didn't start the fire. You did. And now in an interview, you're very casually saying that he hopes Disney drops it. He wants to move on. So I had to ask, what's Disney going to do now? He put that out there. And I will tell you that I would really like Disney to not drop it, but this is what I got. Will Disney drop the case with DUHsantis? And I got the rune of disruption. Disruption, it's kind of like tower. Change, freedom, invention, liberation. There is a pressing need within the psyche to break free. So wants to break free from this thing he created, worth probably billions of dollars. The situation is beyond your control, That's what the runes say. The onset of power, and that would be Disney's power, may be such as to rip away the fabric of what you previously knew. That he can't play these games and get away with it. you know, to the degree that it's even possible. You know, he's kind of being beaten down a little bit now. He doesn't act like it when he says, I've moved on. You know, that's his way of saying, uncle, make it go away. So this takes many forms. Sources dry up. And that relationship is permanently damaged between, you know, the governor of Florida and Disney, one of their greatest financial resources. However, I got signals, the third room, and it's about messages, signals, gifts. And there's a timely warning that may be seen as a gift that is over his head. Be aware that when dealing with meetings and people, encounters of regarding people that are wiser than yourself. So Bob Iger, the head of Disney, is smarter, and all his crack attorneys and legal, you know, department are smarter than duh. When you draw this rune, expect the unexpected. Now this is one of these days where I was like, these runes are kind of messing with me a little bit, but I think this may shock you. It's entirely possible that Disney will drop it. And they'll look like the good guys. I'd like to see duh suffer, but it's probably better for the whole state if this battle doesn't continue with all the fallout. And also, I didn't hear it, but allegedly, duh admitted that he and Casey got married at Disneyland. So he's really trying to lay down the gauntlet and like, please don't do it. And I think it's possible that Disney will drop it, but they might make him suffer a little bit. Or they might negotiate something with him that he doesn't come back and do this shit anymore. To be seen. You know, there is a third rune here with this Disney question. It's on the next page, so I missed it. And this was surprising. We got the rune of partnership. A partnership in some form is at hand, the runes are saying. You're put on notice not to collapse yourself into that union. Let the winds dance and flow between you. And I wrote, DUHsantis will grow to the degree he's capable of and humble a little bit from this hothead judgment he made. The runes signal a gift of freedom, and that gift of freedom is what led me to think Bob Iger and Disney may take the high road. Okay. Now this is really juicy. I'm kind of coming to the end now, but this is really juicy regarding Senator Ted Lieu, who happens to be from my state, California. Brilliant guy, love him. He wrote a tweet, which I copied, to Jim Jordan, okay? It's loaded. It says, oh, hi, wanted to let you know that driving is illegal if you are the getaway driver for a bank robbery. Lighting a match is illegal if you do it to set fire to a church. Buying fertilizer is illegal if you plan to give it to a terrorist to make a bomb. Get it? That's what he tweeted to Jim Jordan. And I got to tell you, my ear exploded. Ted knows something that's coming. Honestly, he knows some inside track information, and he might be intuiting through the lines, like I'm reading between the lines, that Jim Jordan may be instrumental in the pipe bomb. You know, and still a lot of people think it's Marjorie Taylor Greene. A lot. We'll find out though. I'm not worried. You know, I heard somebody maybe from the FBI saying, well, we don't know who the pipe bomber is, but I think they do. I really do. TBD. And this is a happy okay? This has just made me so happy. Pennsylvania Democratic Governor Josh Shapiro, who is sterling, he's just one of these great governors and human beings, signed into law a historic new program that provides free breakfast to all public school students in that state. Yes, 1.7 million students will be eligible for the Universal Free Breakfast Program. And each meal must include a grain, fruit, and milk product. Student allergies will be accommodated. And then Governor Shapiro said, this is a quote, "How can we expect kids to learn math and science and English when they come to school on an empty stomach? We can't." So bravo to Democratic Governor Josh Shapiro from Pennsylvania. Don't know if you heard, but Marjorie Taylor Greene, oh, isn't that funny that I said that? That was a total Freudian slip. Marjorie Taylor Greene, MTM. Wow, I'm going to use that in my next tweet. See, there's a whole bunch of entities around. Marjorie Taylor Greene is announcing she may run for the Senate. She's thinking about running for the Senate. I think she's doing it to diffuse attention. I think she's terrified that she's losing her relevance. And to me, this is a joke. She won't win the Senate, okay? And she may be arrested before then. That's what she's afraid of. And I think that's going to happen. So there's this new person on The View from, I don't know, maybe the last 6-8 months. I'm not sure. Alyssa something Griffin. And she's their token Republican, even though she's left, the White House and being an aide and all that kind of stuff. Well, they were talking about voting and people like deciding, no, I'm going to vote for democracy, and that means Joe Biden. That's the reason. You don't have to like him. You vote for him to maintain democracy. And she announced on The View that she wasn't going to go vote for Trump and she wasn't going to vote for Joe Biden. And you could just see, I could see some of the other hosts like just stiffen. So the comic, just can't think of her name right now, you could see her, she really got upset. I got upset at home too. It's like, I was calling this Alyssa names because like, you stupid blah, blah, blah. You're not voting for democracy. She said she was going to write in her candidate. That is the stupidest thing I ever heard. And I'm actually going to write The View that this offended me deeply. She has the right to do it. But how stupid. If you're not going to vote for Trump, vote for the guy who doesn't do illegal things and wants to maintain democracy. But it's that damn attitude, So she's one of them. You know what I mean? Really made me angry. Okay. Quote. The quote is from Ruth Ben-Ghiat, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. She is an author of a big book called Strongmen because she has studied authoritarians for years, and that's what that book is about. And so she's a historian and an author. And she said, the more Trump and company get in trouble, the more the information warfare will be constant and endless. And we're seeing it happening, and these, new fights and arguments are coming forth. So, there's going to be some really good outcomes, but as I've said before, there's going to be fights, delays, rocky stuff, and more stuff revealed. We're not done. I was not surprised when a fifth indictment came in. There's going to be more. There's going to be more. Okay? They're not done yet. So this is just a good evidence story that I was not involved with. I don't know the players, but I'm just going to tell you in my own words. This took place in Texas right after Trump was elected, when Hillary Shouldn't have lost, but she lost. And this was a story of a young woman, black ballerina, like a trained ballerina, but young, you know, like maybe mid-late 20s. And she was working her day job, which was at a restaurant, a nice restaurant in Texas. And she's an activist, a democratic activist, an advocate, and she marches and she works and for women's rights and all this kind of stuff. Kind of an amazing young woman. I saw a picture of her in her toe shoes and costume with that extraordinary body and legs and you know, beauty that ballerinas have, the real deal. So a couple of days after Trump won, she's working the lunch shift, and 5 men come in and they're wearing MAGA hats. So we know who they are. And they sit at her table. So she has to wait at him. And they were polite to her. So it isn't that kind of story. They were polite. And she took care of them. She just like put aside all her personal stuff and she took care of them and was very polite and chatted with them, but not about politics. But I think that this restaurant had some kind of an interesting history. So she shared some of the history, she answered their questions, she explained what some of the photographs were all about. And it was okay. You know, the interaction was okay. And when they were finished, one of the men who had been particularly friendly to her, but not in a creepy way, just polite, paid the bill. So he got the bill and he took care of the bill, thanked her, and they left. And she picked up the bill and he gave her a $400 tip. The MAGA gave her a $400 tip. And he wrote a note. And all I can do is give you an idea of what the note said. We may not always agree on certain issues, but you are a very gracious and kind young woman. My best to you in life. Thank you. That is a beautiful story. It really touched me and I thought you'd like to hear it. So, you know, I want to say bravo to those men. They did good. They're above the fray. You know, they may love Trump. I don't know how they feel now. So I wanted to share that with you. Okay, that's it for today. We just have some things in here that are like, kind of like, okay, we'll see. But that's okay. I even accept that because some things I just know for sure. And some things are like vaguely communicated. And these runes were a little, you know, so I did my best in interpreting. But I tell you what, the weeklies, spot on, because this has been a week of gifts. This has been a week of opening. Things are starting to move. We're seeing something form, you know, that we've been waiting a very, very long time. And we're seeing some great legal people. So here we go. I got to go right. I'm going to say make peace, make good memories. And I'll see you soon. We just keep going. I'm working on another Patreon for you. And just because we're at the end and nobody can accuse me of rambling, I'll never get over that. In about a week, I'm going to get a haircut. And it'll be first haircut in like 3 months. So if this was down, this would be a nightmare. So I'm going to get it shaped. And after I get it shaped, I'm going to step out and wear it down. So we'll see how this keeps progressing. Talk to you soon. Make peace, make memories, look for good evidence, give a compliment, and bye-bye. Bye-bye.